What if the place you stumbled onto by accident turned out to be one of the most sought-after destinations on Earth? Today, we are going back 512 years to the morning a Spanish explorer looked out from the deck of his ship, spotted a coastline covered in wildflowers, and had absolutely no idea what he was looking at. Stay with me, because the story of how Florida got its name is funnier, stranger, and more human than anything you learned in school. It is 1513. Spain is in the golden age of exploration. Explorers are sailing in every direction, planting flags, naming things, and generally acting like the whole world is up for grabs. And for them, it kind of was. Juan Ponce de León is a Spanish conquistador who has already had quite a career. He sailed with Christopher Columbus on his second voyage to the New World. He became the first governor of Puerto Rico. He has fought battles, built settlements, and made a small fortune. But in 1513, the King of Spain hands him a new assignment. Go north, explore the unknown lands above the Bahamas, find gold, claim whatever you find for Spain. Now there was also a rumor floating around at the time. A legend passed among the island peoples of the Caribbean about a magical spring somewhere to the north. Waters that could restore youth, reverse aging, and make an old man feel 20 again. Here is the thing. Most historians today are pretty confident that Ponce de León was not actually searching for the Fountain of Youth. That story appears to have been invented by his enemies after his death to make him look foolish. His real goals were land, gold, and political power. Very standard conquistador stuff. But we still tell the Fountain of Youth story, because it is a much better story. On March 3, 1513, Ponce de León set sail from Puerto Rico with 3 ships and a crew of around 200 men. They head northwest, threading through the chain of the Bahama Islands, watching and waiting for something new. Then, on March 27, 1513, someone on deck calls out, "Land!" Rising up ahead of them, stretching as far as they can see in both directions, is a coastline unlike anything these men have laid eyes on. It is Easter week in the Spanish calendar, and the shore ahead is blanketed in wildflowers. Dense, green, lush, and alive in a way that must have felt almost unreal after weeks at sea. Ponce de León stands at the bow of his ship. He does not know what he is looking at. He thinks it might be a large island. He has no way of knowing it is actually a peninsula attached to an enormous landmass that will one day be called North America. He also does not know that the stretch of coast he is staring at will one day be home to Walt Disney World, 17,000 miles of highways, more golf courses than any other state in the country, and roughly 23 million people who moved there to enjoy the sunshine. What he does know is that he needs a name for what he has found. It is Easter. In Spanish, the Easter season is called Pascua Florida, the Feast of Flowers, and the land in front of him is covered in them. So he does what explorers do. He opens the ship's log, dips his quill, and writes, La Florida, the place of flowers. And just like that, the most famous beach state in America gets its name from a man who had no idea what he had found, floating off the coast on a spring morning, surrounded by blossoms. Ponce de León and his crew spent the next several months carefully charting the Florida coastline. They sail south, past what will one day become Miami, around the tip of the peninsula and up through the Keys. They discover and name Cape Canaveral, which means Cape of Currents because the powerful Gulf Stream current nearly stops their ships cold in the water. That same Gulf Stream, by the way, would become one of the most important sea routes in the history of navigation. Ponce de León was the first European to identify it and document it. He thought it was an annoyance. History decided it was a discovery. Today, Florida is home to more than 23 million people. It is the 3rd most populous state in the entire country. It receives over 130 million tourists every single year. All of it traces back to that morning in March 1513 when a Spanish sailor spotted a flower-covered shore and reached for his quill. Ponce de León never lived to see any of that. He returned to Florida in 1521, hoping to establish a colony, was wounded in battle, and died shortly after in Cuba. He was 47 years old. He never found gold. He never found the fountain of youth. He never even fully understood what he had discovered. But he gave it a name, and that name stuck. And 512 years later, millions of people are waking up this morning in the Place of Flowers, looking out at the same blue water he saw from the deck of his ship. Here is what strikes me most about this story. Ponce de Leon did not find what he was looking for. He found something else entirely, something that turned out to matter far more than the gold or the legend he was chasing. And he could not have known that. None of us ever can in the moment we are living it. That is what makes me think about the stories we carry around inside us. The moments in our families where someone set out looking for one thing and found something they never expected. The choices that changed everything. The crossroads nobody wrote down. The mornings that turned into turning points. Have you ever thought about writing those stories down? Not for publication, not for anyone famous to read. Just for the people who come after you, your children, their children. The ones who will someday want to know where they came from and what the people before them were made of. Because here is the truth. Ponce de Leon's story survived 512 years because someone wrote it down. Your story, the real one, the one only you know, deserves the same chance. And the only person who can give it that chance is you. Start with one morning, one memory, one person you do not want the world to forget. That is how a legacy begins, and it is so much simpler than sailing across an ocean. Every single day here at History Sparks, we bring you a moment just like this one. Stories that remind you how extraordinary, ordinary people have always been. And I want you right here with us for every one of them. If today's story gave you something to think about, please hit that subscribe button right now and join the History Sparks community. We publish a brand new story every single day, and the people in this community are some of the warmest, most curious, most story-loving people I have ever had the joy of knowing. We would love for you to be one of us. Come back tomorrow. Your next favorite story is already waiting. I will see you then.